Alright guys, I'm over here just showing you my setup. I have a 5-gallon 5-outlet tank hooked up to twin 4.4C dual pack compressors, Viairs, okay? I have one facing this way, the other one facing this way, and the reason why I did it is obviously just to offset the actual heads to avoid heat soak, and also because obviously I can just put a T here and have one running this way, have the other one feeding in this way, so you have your one-way valves there. So I know most people say that this is where you get your leaks from, so obviously check your leaks here. If you do have leaks in the system, always check here first, and then always, you can always do a bubble test. That's what I ended up doing because I had a slight leak as well. But other than that, I have both of these running off of each compressor has a 30 amp fuse, and then they're both wired into an 80 amp relay, which they're wired here. And then obviously I have my on-off pressure gauge here as well, and my Viair pressure gauge. This one is set for 200 pounds, but I'm going to reduce it down to 110, 145, meaning that it'll turn on at 110 pounds, and then it'll cut off at 140. So I have that set up here. Obviously this is running to here, the other one's running off to ground, and I got ground over here. Got everything running all the way back. What I ended up doing was this line goes to my cabin, and then in my cabin I have dual gauges, obviously one for my airbags. I tend to tow with this one, and then also I have one going just to my compressor, that way I know what it is. So I put a secondary analog gauge here just in case something happens up front. I don't have any electricity or anything. Boom, I have my second gauge here. And I have, just this one. I was going to do a blow off pressure, there. Let me show you the way I mounted my actual tank, though. Again, it's a 5-gallon tank. I believe the diameter is 9 inches or 8.5. So what I ended up doing, I went to Airgas. Okay, I went to Airgas, and I ended up getting these brackets. So these brackets cost me like maybe 12 bucks, or no, actually 30 bucks each, something like that. So I ended up putting these on. These are perfect. They have rubber straps to isolate it. Perfect. This one here, this one's going to my air horns. And this here, I have my quick release. I have my on-off ball valve, and then I have my quick release air supply here. So I have that as well. Again, this is undermount. And what I ended up doing here was I took off the spare tire. One of the things that I ended up doing was, I know here you can see, where is it? Right there. That is where your air filter goes. So what I ended up doing was I ended up putting I believe this is a 1/4 inch or 3/8 nipple. Forgot what size it was. And then what I do is I just have a 90 and a street 90, and I put just valve cover breathers. Obviously we get in air this way, so I have it set up this way. It's a little loose, but I figure it's not going to come back down. Anyways, this one's tight here, but again, that way we have the setup. I want to get it away, as far away from this I can get fresh air. Okay, so this is what I have underneath. Again, get the setup. This is a must. This is a PAC relay. I forgot the item, the part number. I will get it for you guys. But other than that, moving over to the front, you can see I have my airbags here. I got a spacer since I'm lifted. Did a bunch of T's here, obviously just to split the feed going into it. And I have a, hold on, let me get out. Obviously you can't tell I have the system underneath. And then obviously the only thing that you can see there is that. So other than that, this is my rig here. You can tell, here's the inside. I have, I just put regular, standard max toe gauges. This one's for the air pressure on the bags, and this is for air pressure in general. So this one would bump up all the way to, let's say, 140, which is the cutoff. And then this one would be for my airbags, which usually, depending on what I'm towing, you know, will be, I don't know, 40, 60 pounds, I guess, depending on what it is. And let me show you over here. I ended up doing a Viair valve. So this is a manual valve. That way it inflates them evenly. I didn't want any issues, you know, left or right. So this one inflates it evenly. Obviously this is to inflate, this is to deflate, and it's manual, like I said. I can check to see how much pressure there is, obviously, with that gauge. And this one right here, this is just a switch to turn them on. Obviously I have it connected off of a off the front, so that means that it'll turn on whenever I turn on the ignition source. So that's what this is. But again, I put a secondary switch because I don't want the compressors turning on if there were ever to be a leak or anything like that. So again, that's what I did. So that's the setup that I have here, as you can tell. And obviously I'm set up for a fifth wheel. So again, I have a auxiliary tank over there. That's a 40 amp. I'm gonna try, I mean 40 amp, a 40, I believe 50 gallon, so, or 40 gallon, but I'll have that set up. But again, that's my setup here for my onboard air, for my horns. Oh, let me go do that. For my horn, I ended up installing a switch. I don't know if you guys can tell right here, right there, that switch there. I thought that was going to be a real good location for it. Unfortunately though, I have this here, which is in the way. So whenever I want to use a horn, I have to move the keys out of the way, because obviously they're sticking out here and then they're hanging, you know, all the other keys. So that ends up blocking that. So that's the problem with that. I would suggest putting it somewhere else. I guess, you know, here would have been better. And underneath, not really, because you have a lot of metal backing behind there. So just be careful, guys. Other than that, it's a 2011 setup, 2011 Denali. So yeah, that's my rig. I got a H&M tuner, or H&S, sorry. Anyways,